Hey everyone, Coops here from the whole box and dice Dragon Ball Super Mono Yellow deck tech for you all today. But this one is bittersweet. This one is a bittersweet deck tech, that is for sure, because whilst we are running Captain Ginyu and all the members of the Ginyu Force, every single possible copy we can legally run, we can't run Ginyu as the leader, sadly. We're running Bad Boy Frieza, the Golden Frieza as our leader, and that's just because Ginyu just can't cut it. And look, I'll keep playing Ginyu decks, and I'll keep trying to refine it. I've tried every color combination. I've tried it just mono yellow. It's just that if you get insane value from drawing his drawing life, and you get Ginyu members and you put them on the battlefield, that's great. But too often it's not. There's obviously so many Ginyu. There's only so many Ginyu Force members you can actually have access to. So I like that we can at least play Ginyu in this deck and use him as a kind of like a pseudo finisher. We also have some other cards, though, that can certainly help us out. The good thing is that you actually can take this mono-yellow list to a tournament, and whilst it is certainly not as strong as Critical Vegeta, you definitely need to have a little bit of luck on your side. You still can beat decks like that, Mono-Red Champa as well. You definitely do need to race the fast decks, which obviously they are more equipped to do so, but that doesn't mean with the right strategy and with a bit of thinking you can't make it a competitive fight. So let's jump into the deck. What does Mono Yellow Frieza look like? We'll start off just like last time with the leader card. Actually, just before we start, thank you so much for all the love on the Mono Red Champa video. Red deck wins in DBS. If you haven't seen the video, please check it out. And if you like this one as much as the last one, hit the thumbs up button. Comment, tell your friends, let them know there is a great resource to find information about the game, and I'll have a few more videos coming up in the future, so stick close to the channel. But let's jump into Mono Yellow DBS with Frieza, and it is the 10k activate main once per turn. Place one of your Frieza army battle cards in the drop area, choose up to one of your energy and switch it to active mode, then draw one card. And once you get to 4 life cards or less, you may awaken it for Ultimate Form Golden Frieza. Place one of your Frieza's Army battle cards in the drop area, choose up to 2 of your energy, and switch them to active mode, then draw 1 card. So, Frieza, we want to use Frieza to take advantage of a lot of 1-drops to effectively mulch them, so we can see a lot of our deck, find the Ginyus, find the Mecha-Friezas, and go through for big crushing alpha strikes on turns 4, 5, and 6. And then we do even have a backup plan if we somehow make it to turn 7. So, starting off, pretty basic control suite, running 3 copies of Crusher Ball and 1 copy of Cold Bloodlust. I think it's important just to have the 1 Bloodlust, as it does take advantage of the fact that our leader is Frieza's Army, and you can shut down a big tempo play like a Beerus or a Broly being dropped onto the field. Even better if you can put them into rest mode as well. 4 copies of Sorbet, the Loyal Commander, and all these 1-cost Frieza Army cards are great targets for Frieza's ability. Play it, get the ETB effect if they do have one, get the auto, and then once you're done with it, mulch them, draw another card, which just means we get insane card advantage. 4 copies of Guldo in the deck, solid blocker. When you play it, you can tap something down, which is hugely valuable, and I'll talk about some of the combos we can pull off with that. If you can keep the Guldos alive, please try to do so, and please try and use them for the combo, because that is the best time to use them. Plus, if you can get Ginyu out, you do get that board buff. Play set of Avenging Frieza, so when you play it, you can look at the top 3 cards, pick a Frieza's Army card with energy 2 or less, so another great, useful ETB, and then he becomes Super Mulch for Frieza. 4 copies of Frieza's Core, and this is a great card for 1 to go grab a 2-drop. We probably want to grab some of our vanilla 15k 2-drops from this card. Moving into the Ginyu Force suite, it is a play set of Burter. Has a great ability, so when you attack, he resets at the end of turn. So with the exception of Vardos, he is pretty safe out there. Recoome gets a nice buff during our opponent's turn, takes him up to 16k, which is hugely valuable, especially with cards like Assassination Plot as well. It becomes very difficult to take out cards like Recoome unless you want to eat up a lot of that 30,000. Playset of Dodoria, obviously the 0 cost, 4 life or less, 10k draw a card, are invaluable and pretty much need to be run in every single deck. Yet to see a good reason why you wouldn't. 2 copies of Appule, 2 copies of Sui. Just running 4 copies of the vanilla 15ks, because they are vanilla 15ks for 2, and they are great targets to search up with Frieza's Army. Playset of the Ginyu Force Jeice, and please be aware that the Ginyu Force Jeice's ability is when you play this card from your hand, look it up to the 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose one Ginyu Force and other than Ginyu himself and play it. Just a side note, if you could actually get this ability when it came into play, I think that would make Ginyu as a leader a little bit more viable because you could reveal Jeice from your life, put it into play, and then potentially go grab something else, but maybe that would make it a little too powerful. I think it'd still be okay. Playset of Mecha-Frieza, the Returning Terror. Now, there has been some clarification on the rules of this card. When you do play the card, you do get dual attack and double strike. However, if you discard it, you do need to discard a card to KO up to 2 opponents' battle cards in rest mode. So you get dual attack and double strike when you play the card, but if you do want to knock out, you do need to discard from your hand. I'm not playing the promo Frieza in the deck. I found sometimes the card is great, but too often they're sitting on some big bombs, and the last thing you want to do is after they've played a Broly, be forced to put a Beerus down onto the battlefield, even if it is in rest mode, because then you do need to commit a lot of resources just to taking that out to make the clan Mecha-Frieza worth it, so I've decided against playing that. Playset of Elite Force Captain Ginyu. Now, when it comes into play, all Ginyu cards, including himself, get 10,000 and double strike, so a 6 energy 35k double striker is not bad at all. And that's why I said try and keep Guldo alive, because at worst you have a 12k double striker, so just with one pump, you put him over the limit and needs to be blocked or answered. And I'm running 2 copies of Golden Frieza, the Resurrected Terror. He does cost 7, but you can evolve him for 6, and you do have Avenging Frieza and obviously Mecha-Frieza. So you can actually attack with Mecha-Frieza with dual attack. It resets, then you can evolve Golden Frieza over the top 4/6. When this card evolves, place all rest mode battle cards except for this card in the drop area, then choose all active mode battle cards except for this card and switch them to rest mode. It has triple strike, it's 30k, and it's just a nice way to kind of catch our opponent off guard. They think if they can live through the Ginyu, they've got it pretty good. We do have one other answer for them in the deck. Now, diving into the combo and the strategy of the deck, some of the interactions that you're really going to want to be looking out for. So first off, you have the Guldo Mecha-Frieza interaction where you can play Guldo, comes in, put something 2 or less, most of the time a blocker, into rest mode. You then mulch Guldo, which allows you to draw a card, but also resets one of your energy, right? So you're on 4 energy, you've spent 1 to play him, you go down to 3, mulch him, reset an energy, draw a card. You can then play Mecha-Frieza. You'll have a target in rest mode to KO. Hopefully they've got a attacking piece also in rest mode, which is when it obviously makes the most sense to play Frieza, and you can get that great 2-for-1 value plus the card draw. So that's something that you definitely want to look for. So try and use the Avenging Friezas and the Sorbets as your 1-drop mulch and draws over Guldo if you can. Obviously, there are going to be times where you absolutely have to do it. A lot of people ask me, what am I looking for in my opening hand? Well, you're definitely looking for some 1-drops. Frieza's Call certainly isn't too bad to have in there. If you feel like you're going to need the control, a Crusher Ball or the Bloodlust isn't too bad. You definitely don't want to be holding on to Ginyu or Frieza. You're happy to see them later on in the game. And just to remember, if you have 2 2-drops in your opening hand, I'd be using the first 2-drop as energy straight off the bat, because we are looking to see a lot of cards, in our deck. So we normally don't have too much of a problem getting some value on a turn-by-turn basis, given that we almost are always drawing twice. Also, please do remember that Ginyu does trigger for himself. I've seen lots of people play this where he doesn't give himself the 10k in double strike, and even though I said he does get it, just do remember that that is a thing. Also, the Frieza rule change, be wary of that. I know that's not a lot of common knowledge, and there are some cards that are worded a little bit peculiarly, so I can see why there is a little bit of confusion with all this. Obviously, holding on to a mana or an energy for Crusher Ball is super, super valuable, so even if you do play something like a Mecha-Frieza, if you already have a Guldo or a Frieza or a 1-drop on the board, mulch that after you've played your Frieza so you can keep 1 up, and then you can play Crusher Ball or Bloodlust the next turn, especially if you have a second Frieza in hand. There is nothing better than being able to play Frieza on turn 4 and turn 5, and keeping up that extra mana or that extra energy after you've played him allows you to put something back into rest mode when your opponent plays it for a swing back, and then you can target it with your Mecha-Frieza on the following turn. So, gives you a pretty good idea of how we use the deck, and it actually is a pretty cheap deck. And you can definitely build the deck without the Ginyus. You could run, I guess you could run the 3-drop, 20k vanilla here, and you could really just go the super aggressive mulch, flood the board route. If there was a card like the Goku that gave all yellow cards like plus 5k for the turn, I think that would be a more viable strategy, because you really would have to run things like Furthering Destruction Champ, and then to be able to give the double strike, you'd have to look at tricks like that. But you don't need to run the Ginyus. You can definitely start off with the deck, which is pretty much just all like commons and uncommons. Drop the Friezas as well, and you've got yourself a really, really solid deck. Even picking up a playsets of the rare 25k blocker Frieza can be a good addition if you don't want to spend the money initially on the Ginyus and you want to test the deck out first. Even though it is a cheap deck, I understand there are some people that just want to grab commons and uncommons to test out the game. This is a pretty fun deck to test it out with, and you still get a lot of value from your early drops, and you can win. You know, you really are looking to, on turns 4 through to 6, 7, pretty much play some combination of Mecha-Frieza, Ginyu, and Frieza, just so you can just have that each turn from turn 4 onwards, a pretty relentless assault at your opponent to wind them down. And the deck has a pretty good matchup against things like Critical Vegeta, because you are mulching your own guys to draw cards, which is really, really solid. It does struggle a bit against control, those very oppressive control decks, especially like Averse it against Vardos, right? And Vardos has the ability to attack battle cards. That makes it very tough, because it's hard to build up an army, hard to build up even a presence, just to then be able to drop a Ginyu, so you do need to be wary of leaders like that. And that's why in the sideboard we are rounding out our playsets of Crusher Ball, of Bloodlust. We're playing King Cold in the sideboard, and once again, a little bit more expensive card, so if you are going the budget route, you don't need to run these. You run things like a Recoome's Eraser Gun instead, but it is important, I think, to run things like King Cold. There are some very, very solid tech, plus some of the 25k blocker Friezas. I think they're nice to have in the board, just as a bit of a, I guess, a bit of a backup, and some bad ring lasers as well for the mirror match or for another control matchup. So the sideboard is pretty versatile, but you do need to remember in the control matchup, go fast, because you need to get up underneath them, and you also need to go pretty fast. It actually always go fast. You know what? Scrap that. There's not a Versa match that you want to go slow against. You always want to go fast against Mono Red Champa, against Critical Vegeta, even against Control. You want to get up under these decks. Obviously, some of them are going to be going as fast, probably even faster than you, but don't take your foot off the pedal. Just keep smashing face and look for that turn 4, 5, and 6 kill shot on them. But that's about it for the deck. Like I said, great intro deck. If you've grabbed a couple of booster boxes, or you and your mates have started collecting the game, you probably have most of the cards for this deck. And like before, I will post the deck list in the comments below for easy reference. Thank you again, like I said, for all the love on the first video that I put out. If there's a deck you'd like me to see a video on, if you'd like me to do a video on, comment in the comments. Put a comment down below and tell me the leader that you'd like me, or even a deck that you're struggling with. Is there a card that you've pulled that you really want to make something work around? And I'll do my best to shoot a video on that. But lots of cool things coming up with Dragon Ball. I've got a couple of videos about the game, so the rules and just the state of the meta and just general discussion coming up shortly. So plenty of content on Dragon Ball Super, heaps of magic and meta cross on the way as well. So exciting time to be invested into trading card games, because we've got some good ones out there at the moment. But that'll about do it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Coops. This is the whole box and dice. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. Share it around to your friends. Peace.